born with two congenital heart defects. One was a mitral valve prolapse, and the other was a bicuspid aortic stenosis, which we didn't know about until I was 13. At some point during my life, I would have to have the aortic valve replaced. In February of 2009, I went for my normal echocardiogram, and the doctor noticed a change in the diameter of my valve at that time. We went in on June 18th for the aortic valve replacement. Whenever they had gone back in to restart my heart after the replacement, the left side of the heart had hardened completely like a stone. The right side was still working a little bit, but it was failing.
So I drove home because I needed to get her clothes because she wasn't going to die. And so I had to get her clothes and bring her clothes back.
And my mom went with me.
But Mom went in the ambulance.
Yeah.
And Mom was met by a slew of the best doctors and nurses in the world who are family to us now.
They set these little titanium pumps inside, and each one controlled a different side of the heart. By that time, I had zero heart function whatsoever.
In hindsight, we know that there was a team of, I think, 6 or 8 nurses that worked on her all night long.
We have 2 sons, and the youngest son was with him.
I'll tell you, he was the strongest one of all of us. And I think we were both probably in a little bit of denial, but he just kept reassuring me the whole way through. He got me through that first several days anyway. That 3 days was tough. I mean, she wasn't able to talk to us. You know, we spent time getting her to squeeze our hands and getting by on that. When I left the hospital in Colorado Springs, the doctor down here told me that there's this type of device that they use in Denver that he didn't have access to put in. He said that sometimes when they put somebody on this machine, the heart recovers. But by the time we'd gotten her up there, 18, 20 hours later, however long it was, all the surgeries, they said no. The right side had failed. We think she's going to need a transplant. I mean, I knew of kidney transplants, liver transplants. You know, I'd never heard of anybody having a heart transplant, but it's a lot more common than you think.
At that point, I'm like, okay. I mean, there's no, what else do you do?
In the months later, until she was transplanted, that's the attitude she had the entire time. Hey, there's nothing I can do about it. I choose to live. I can die, but I choose to live. The big push to go home was, you know, you're not getting any better here. You're just waiting for a heart. And people tend to get better at home. Day 2 that she was home, we went to Safeway, went shopping, and we wheeled her into Safeway, and I put a basket on top of her, and I just wheeled her around. I said, I've got to take a picture for the docs of you holding a 12-pack of beer. I sent it to the nurses, and it circulated the hospital overnight.
From the beginning, I waited 5.5 months for a transplant. I was home for 2.5 months. And then we got the call on November 15th. He said, Beth, I think, you know, we have a heart for you.
So I looked at her and told her I loved her, and
I said, I'll be back in a few minutes.
And then Annie, the head
coordinator.
VAD coordinator there, the mechanical assist nurse, she sent me a text and said her heart's out. And then I'm like, wow, it's gonna happen.
The March before my initial surgery, I did my first 5K. So the following March, I was determined I was going to do it again. So 118 days after transplant, I did my first 5K. And since that March, I've done 36.
That first one was really special because one of our friends made me a t-shirt that said Team Beth on it. Team environment, where I come from, is very important in my line of work. And she understood that. She made this t-shirt with Team Beth, and I had these wristbands made up that say Recycle Life on one side and Team Beth on the other, so they all had that.
We've been together, I was 14 and he was 16.
That sounds bad, but we did grow up together.
Started dating. So, and I tell everybody I wouldn't be here without him. And so his support was really the key for my recovery.
An old buddy of mine told me one time, I mean, there's a lot of difficult things you go through in life, but it's only time. As long as you get through it and you get through it with somebody you love, that's all that matters.
So I have people tell me all the time that I'm inspiring them, or by telling them my story, that it's such an inspiration, that it just shows people that you don't have to give up when you're dealt with those cards. Honestly, without the development and research that American Heart Association raises funds for, I probably would not be alive today. Their research and development in transplantation, in the ventricular assist device, in medications, in all of those things, had it not been for that, myself nor quite a few other people wouldn't be alive today.